Hello.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to the HiFi Summit. We are in
Oh,
the very
yeah.
last talk for the day one. We are here with Jason from Kanto Audio, and we are going to be talking about powered speakers. What's up?
Mm.
How are you guys doing? What's going on, Jason?
I'm doing quite well. I'm just really happy to be here. I'm happy to be back at the office. We're
Yeah, I
actually
bet.
in the sound room at Kanto, a room I
Nice.
haven't seen in like 2 months. So
That's
it's very
awesome.
nice. Very
I told
sweet
him-
and
Little-
warm.
Sweet setup there, man.
We were doing a test the other day. I'm like, how come your audio is better than mine? What do you got? He's got like sound panels up. He's all
Oh yeah, dude.
he's ready
You
to
gotta
go.
Clapping here, and there's no echo. It's beautiful.
Nice. That's awesome.
Love
I got
it.
my living room back here. You know, my
Mhm.
family's walking by and all this stuff.
Sorry to flex on y'all like that.
Yeah,
All
you
good,
are
man.
flexing on us.
All good,
So
man.
for,
All
the-
good.
for that, I'm just gonna have to say, Audio Architects. He's been asking for a long time about those tucks. He keeps bugging me. He wants to check out those tucks. So maybe give him a shot one of these days, huh? Anyway, there you go, Audio Architects. I gave you a shout out.
Thank you for letting me know. We'll hopefully arrange something after this.
Yeah.
Look at him. Joe. Yeah.
These guys are ready for it. Looks like they're pretty excited.
Yeah, that's
Sweet.
right. That's right. Look at this Kanga. Oh yeah, Kanto. Let's go.
Oh man, they're gonna have to give everyone tucks. My goodness, what do we get ourselves into coming on here?
Hand them out, man. It's hard.
It's the base on those things that are ridiculous.
I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty rad. I had a pair inside my living room, and just due to where they're situated, I got so much room gain that I got the base at
Nice.
-3, and it's still a little bit too much sometimes. So,
Awesome.
yeah,
I'm digging those white ones behind you, man. Those are nice.
That's what
Thank
we're talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Those are the tucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
I
are
remember having the subwoofer in the room when I was demoing them, and they're like, people are like, subwoofer's on? I was like, no.
Nope.
They're like, no.
it's just for
Fantastic.
aesthetics. It's just
it's
visual.
just to trick you there, buddy. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Were
when,
you-
it's like
Were you
when
around when
Bose used to-
Chana? Yeah, were you around when Chana was DJing on those?
No,
That
I
was our
wasn't
demo.
That was at the that was at the show, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was our demo. He
wasn't
brought his
there,
old
yeah.
DJ thing, and he was like straight up
Yeah.
doing a whole set on.
I
those.
did see a stream afterwards. That was pretty sweet. The speakers were just
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
good promo. The promo that you can't even buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
no
yeah,
doubt. It's like when Bose used to, put the big speakers there.
Hey,
and then pull
you
it
said the
away.
B word.
Yeah,
You said the
that's
B
all right,
word.
man.
Oh, I'm gonna say the B word in this
Are
this
you?
seminar. So just
Oh yeah, get ready, guys. It's about to get lit.
All right, dude.
Nice.
Let's go. It's all you.
All right,
Take
man.
it away.
Go ahead.
cool. Sounds good. Appreciate it. So yeah, I'm Jason Zavarella. I'm the product manager at Kanto. So some of my responsibilities here are just defining new products, identifying what features or specs that we need in our products, just kind of putting out a competitive product. So I work with customer service to make sure customer support feedback is put into our designs. I work with sales to get some industry input, marketing to make sure the messaging and the story is clear, and of course engineering to just kind of work on the prototyping for the product. Just generally, I ensure that the vision of the product just kind of is maintained throughout the process while we go from conception to delivery.
Awesome.
Yeah. So compared to the rest of the manufacturers at the show, Kanto's obviously on a little bit of the lower price end of the market. Our most expensive speaker is $800. Our least expensive one is $220. So we kind of see our products as like a stepping stone for people to get into the world of audio, and it shapes how we create our products. So yeah, that's just kind of a preamble about us. But today I am talking about powered speakers. I am using the term powered speakers. It's a very general term. It describes our speakers and a lot of other speakers. I'm going to avoid using the term active. Active is it really implies like, each amplifier section is driving specific components in the speaker. So I'm going to avoid using that, and I'm not going to really talk about the advantages or disadvantages of either one. But yeah, to kind of get into it, you're seeing a lot of companies that used to make just passive speakers start to make powered speakers. You got Totem, a really cool Canadian company, just like Kanto. They came out with the Kin Play speakers about a year and a half ago. I just want to tell a quick story about Totem. Actually, I'm wearing an A&B sound shirt right now. That was a defunct. It used to be like a Best Buy in Western Canada, and Totem was like their flagship brand that they used to carry at A&B Sound. So Totem for me has always been this like drool-worthy, beautiful, like, you know, an achievement to get some of their speakers. So it's really cool that we're actually playing in the same space as them now. So that's just a little aside. You see ELAC, they made the Navis ARB51 speakers. Klipsch, you saw earlier today, the 5s.
Yep.
And obviously their Heritage line and their R series line, like they're killing it out there. Klipsch in general is killing it. Like they really like, you know, took their heritage and really made it. They've reinvigorated their brand recently and made their brand really exciting. Kef, they have their LS50Ws they made a few years back. I think that speaker itself changed a lot of people's opinions about what powered speakers could do. And obviously their LSX is really nice. We're seeing boutique companies like Vanuatu down in Washington. They're only making powered speakers. So it's pretty clear the segment is growing. People are responding to it. And I'm going to talk about why we've chosen that route, why other manufacturers have done it. Why it's becoming relatively common now. So yeah, I'm going to talk about kind of the changes in technology first that have allowed powered speakers to proliferate. I don't see hold on, I'm going to the live comments. Here we go. I want to just quickly check out some comments before I get into the thick of it here. Where the woofers drivers enhance with the long throw to achieve the bass levels. We use aluminum. Are you talking about Tuck? If you're talking about Tuck over there, Kanga Empire, Tuck has aluminum drivers. I don't know about if they are long throw or not. Hey, a lot of love for Canada out there. Totem, Canada, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you're not afraid to mention other brands, like pretending like no other brands exist.
Word, yeah.
I like that. Respect to you for doing that.
Kanto is the only company. No, we're influenced, right? The industry is pretty small, right? Like, you know, you go to a trade show and you meet all the people we're talking about, and you get to chat to the people. It's so yeah, I'm gonna show some love and respect to the people who make cool stuff.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the changes in technology. The first thing I'm going to talk about is DSP, digital signal processing. So, you know, it used to be like back in the day in the 50s and the 60s, I guess now too, but used to be that, you know, you needed resistors, capacitors, inductors to shape the sound of your speaker. If you wanted to boost or cut somewhere, you know, it could cost quite a bit, and it could make your design really complex. Tailoring the sound on your speaker was not something you wanted to do if you didn't have to do it. And you could even, you know, introduce group delay. You know, if, you know, a part of the audio frequency that's a little bit delayed compared to another part, it can make your speaker sound smeary. So no, you could try to do all this stuff to make your speaker sound better, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can make it sound worse and drive up the price. Computers obviously changed kind of everything. You know, you could take a digital signal and you can manipulate it, do whatever you wanted with it. And then in the 80s, we got, you know, actual like DSP boxes, scaled down electronics. But those DSP boxes, they were pricey. They were kind of only reserved for like the most expensive systems. But nowadays, you know, thanks to Moore's law, like the law that states that we get better and better electronics as we, you know, as time goes on and the price comes down, you know, we're at a point where you can buy DSP chips for like $10-15 that can tweak like pretty much any parameter you want. If you want to boost here or cut here or adjust the slope or the Q, you could delay certain frequencies to avoid what I was talking about previously, the group delay. You can adjust the phase of certain frequencies. You have full control. So, you know, the speaker manufacturer gets to determine how the speaker sounds now. The drivers and the components, the crossover, it's not at your full mercy like it was back in the day. And you can do really cool things like you can add loudness contours or equal loudness, like loudness curves into your speakers. And if you're not familiar with the concept, the human ear, you know, it doesn't hear all frequencies at the exact same level. If you have a really flat speaker, really good frequency response, and you play it quietly, it's not really going to sound flat to your ear. It's going to sound like there's not that much bass or treble. In order to make it be perceived by your ear as nice and flat, you actually have to boost up the bass and the treble a little bit. So you can do that in the DSP. You can have it so that as you adjust the volume, it flattens out, and it's perceived by your ears as flatter. And here's the B word that I was going to talk about. So if you want a really cool example of this, listen to the Bose SoundLink Mini Bluetooth speaker. That thing has some wild DSPing. When it's really quiet, the bass is boosted and the treble is hella boosted. And it sounds so full and rich, even at quiet volumes. And as you turn it up, it kind of evens out so that, it's perceived by your ears as flat, and also it doesn't clip the amp. So that's a really cool speaker. I'm not going to show any hate on Bose. They do some pretty wild stuff with their speakers. So some see this as impure when you're DSPing things. They see it as something that shouldn't be done. And like I get that, because in the past, it was like an art. If you could take 2 drivers and a crossover with like 6 components and put it into a speaker cabinet and make it sound nice, like you were an artist, you were a master. So the way that I see it, though, is that DSPs are awesome. They're good for everyone. I think the consumer benefits, the speaker manufacturers obviously benefit. Customers now have access to speakers like Tuck, which I'm going to talk about. They can hit 50 hertz in a room. They have a high pass filter built in. It would have taken us without DSP a lot more time and energy to tame out the resonance you get in an aluminum driver. And because we're using an AMC tweeter, there's a lot of different level matching, and DSP has made making this product so much more doable. So in my opinion, it is a tool. It's a tool that lets designers achieve what they want, and they can present the world with a product that sounds great at a really good price. So the way that I see it, if a DSP, if a speaker designer is an artist, the DSP is just another color on their palette that they can use. So I think that's kind of one of the bigger reasons why powered speakers have become more common, is DSPing. And I'll talk a little bit more about Class D amplifiers and the advancements that have been another contributor, but I'm just going to quickly check the chat over here. All right. Seems like Jason couldn't rattle off more knowledge about sound off the cuff than anyone I ever know. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was the valedictorian in high school. That was my peak. It's all downhill from here, except for today. I actually get to flex my public speaking skills today. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Flex it.
Active speakers are greater than passive speakers for me. At Kanto, we have to agree. Other people may not agree. But hopefully after my talk here, some people that are diehard passive fans will maybe see a different perspective. I hope. Let's see if there's anything else here. The SoundLink Mini sounds good. It does. It really does. I am not gonna stand here and say that Bose makes some inferior Bluetooth speakers. They are awesome. Anyways,
my wife says she misses her U4s, and I said it right.
Yeah, you did say U4.
Yeah,
it's not YU4. It is U4. So thank you. I appreciate it.
They got caught in that fire, but anyway,
no doubt. It's all good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to my seminar here, talking about some advancements in Class D amplifiers. I am not that qualified to talk about amps. I'm not an engineer, so bear with me. For people who aren't super familiar, an amplifier, the way that it works, it's taking an incoming audio signal that's fluctuating up and down in voltage, and it's opening up a switch or a valve or a lever, whatever you want to call it, and it's got beefy capacitors, and it's letting that big power, it's diverting that power to the loudspeaker basically at the same time that the input voltage is fluctuating up and down. That's just super quickly, how amplifiers work. We've gone through so many different types of amplifiers. We went from vacuum tubes to solid state, and now we're now digital. And there's always been this contrasting duality, and this is something I want y'all to remember during this seminar. Sound quality, efficiency. Those are the two dueling factors between, in amp design and what's driven a lot of the advancements in amplifier technology. So let's talk about Class A amplifiers. Super old school amp design. It's constantly sending power to the drivers. It's like a garden hose that's on. It's always sending power, and there's a switch or a diverter that takes that power and it sends it to the loudspeaker when it's needed. But when it's not needed, that power is just being wasted. It's being turned into heat. So Class A, very inefficient. Class AB, change that. Class AB, it's basically it's got like a positive side and a negative side to push the speaker out and pull the speaker back in. So you're kind of splitting the load between these two power outputs. Neither side is doing work at the exact same time, so it's more efficient than Class AB or Class A. Class A is always pushing out power. Class AB is kind of doing that half and half, splitting it between the load, so it makes it more efficient. The benefit of these two amps, Class A, Class AB, they're always on, they're always doing something. So the voltage fluctuation from the incoming signal, it's perfectly duplicated. There's no point in which the amplifier is not doing work. It's not, there's no microsecond delay, no distortion. It's faithfully reproducing the audio signal that's coming into it. So it sounds very good. Class A and Class AB, a lot of people see those as the audiophile amps. They sound great, but unfortunately, they're not efficient. So that's where Class D comes in. Class D operates so much more differently than the analog amps. Class D amps use pulse width modulation. An example that I see on the internet a lot to describe pulse width modulation is you're in a room, you got a light switch. If you want your room to be 100% bright, all you have to do is turn that light switch on 100% of the time. If you want it dark, you just leave it off 100% of the time. But what if you want your room to be at 50% brightness? There is a way you can do it with pulse width modulation. You can turn on your I guess we're talking about lights right now. You can turn on your light 50% of the time and 50% off. And if you do that fast enough, if you keep it on 50% of the time and off 50% of the time, to your eyes, it's going to be perceived like that room is 50% brightness. If you want it 25% bright, you leave it on 25% of the time and 75% off. So you're switching back and forth really quick to get your room at a certain level. And that's what Class D amps do to audio. Switching on and off really, really fast to push the driver further out or push it back. So we got to remember that duality that I was talking about. Efficiency and sound quality. So Class D amps, there's moments when the amp is off. It's not sending any power. So it's really efficient. But because you're not duplicating the waveform perfectly, it's never going to be perfectly accurate. Technically you can't reproduce that original signal like you can with Class A and Class AB. And the high end suffers the most. If you have a 100 hertz tone, it's moving 100 times per second, and you're sampling that or you're switching 100,000 times per second, that 100 hertz tone, each waveform can be duplicated or sampled. It can be sampled 1,000 times per second. And you can achieve a really accurate waveform with 1,000 samples per waveform. But the high end suffers. If you have a 20,000 hertz tone, so that's kind of like the limit of human hearing, 20,000 hertz. If you're only sampling that 100,000 times a second, you're only going to sample each waveform 5 times. So you could end up with something quite a bit less accurate. Also, if you're switching on and off 100,000 times a second, you're introducing oscillation into the network. You're introducing a tone that you don't need in there. You need to filter that out. And while humans can't hear 100,000 hertz, if it's switching on and off like that, you can't hear it, but it's going to introduce harmonics into your audio. It's going to introduce distortion. If you're a musician, you know that if you pluck a guitar or you hit a piano, you're going to hear a fundamental tone, but you're also going to hear harmonics. You're going to hear the string vibrating at half the frequency, a quarter, double, third. You got to get rid of those harmonics.
And if it's a piano or some sort of wood instruments, you're hearing the vibration of the actual instrument itself.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I notice. Is what I'm saying. I've been
Yeah.
playing the piano for 30 years, so that's
I'm glad I touched close to your heart.
Well, you were talking about pulse width modulation too, and I was actually on the hunt for some new synthesizers last night, and I'm hearing different things, and yeah, I got a few Moogs next to me too, so yeah,
Sick.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you. I'm loving it.
Pulse width modulation is really dope in synthesizers. It's really dope for Class D amps, but you got to do something to get rid of that. You got to do something to get rid of that switching, that pulse width modulation sound. You got to do something with it. And you don't want to send that frequency to the speakers either, because you're just sending power. You're sending stuff to the speakers that it can't produce. So even if you can't hear it, it's just wasting power. Okay, where am I going with all this? I've been chatting about Class D for a long time. So Class D amplifiers, they've always been efficient, but they haven't always sounded good. The primary concept or the basis of a Class D amp, it has not changed since like the late 50s when it was developed. But the technology in switching frequency and filter design to get rid of that noise, it has improved. So we're going to talk about that. So some Class D amplifiers, they're not switching on and off 1,000 times per second now. They're switching on and off in the million times per second, in the megahertz. Texas Instruments automotive Class D amps, they switch at 2.1 megahertz, 2.1 million times a second. And at that high frequency, well, you can duplicate a waveform really accurately. And it's such a high switching frequency that you don't even need a normal low pass filter to filter out all that, oscillating noise. You can use like a ferrite bead, like the same little core that you see around like a USB cable. So you get this really high sampling rate with accurate waveforms, and your filter design is really inexpensive and easy to design. So there isn't this clear divide between, audiophile grade amps anymore. Nearly all types of amps are going to sound good as long as they're engineered correctly. But what you can't get away from, unfortunately, is that Class A and Class AB are inefficient. So the efficiency of a Class D amplifier has given speaker manufacturers the freedom to kind of do whatever they want without needing to design around a thermally dissipating chassis or add heat sinks. It allows designers to use fabrics as exterior surfaces, like something that traps heat really efficiently. You don't need bulky capacitors or to store a bunch of energy, because most of the energy in a Class D amp is sent to the speaker. The power supply can be smaller, and therefore you can make really small, compact electronics. The battery-driven Bluetooth powered speaker is ubiquitous. Everyone pretty much has one. It's a standard item at this point, and they don't have to sound bad just because they got Class D amps anymore. So in my opinion, these two technologies, DSP and the advancements in Class D amps, those are really responsible, in my opinion, for the tech that has proliferated powered speakers. So I'm going to talk about the changes in customer habits, but I'm going to quickly check the chat here. All right. Using instruments as a comparison. Sorry. Oh, if you guys want to talk really quickly, I'm just going to read the comments here.
Sure. I remember hearing the Tux at CES, and it was they had set up an A/B switch. So it was the U6s and the Tux. And man, just switching back and forth, the difference was huge. Like it was a great demo. It's a great demo.
Yeah. For sure. It is a significantly more expensive speaker, but you get a significantly better audio
experience.
Sound. Like it's crazy. It's Tuck is really, it's such a good value. We're gonna talk more about Tuck, but yeah,
everybody's saying how you're an excellent teacher. Everybody likes your teaching style.
You're explaining this like fantastically. Joshua has a question. Outside of price, why should one pick Kanto over Atom or Focal powered speakers?
Focal and Atom don't make multimedia speakers. They make dedicated
studio monitors.
They make studio monitors. And I see this so often when I pop into Reddit and I see people recommending speakers to people. All day and night, people are recommending monitors as speakers. And you need an audio interface to get the best performance, because they don't have volume controls in the front. You're limited to your operating system. A lot of them
mostly XLR or quarter-inch connections.
Exactly. How are you gonna, get it into your PC? You got to have a cable that goes from a 3.5 millimeter to two XLRs. Like you're gonna lose sound quality there. You're losing the advantage of having a balanced connection. So I mean, there's a time and a place. If you're making music, if you need, mission critical flat audio, you're gonna buy some powered. You're gonna buy some monitors. But if you're wanting speakers that have, a headphone output, if you want a USB DAC, if you want a phono preamp, if you want a volume knob that you can adjust on the front of the speaker, like powered speakers make so much more sense in that
And a
scenario,
remote.
right?
I was about to
Yeah.
say that remote too. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a place and there's a time and a place for it. And I think a lot of people have to kind of step back and, when people are asking recommendations for speakers, you got to step back and actually understand, like, do these people want, amazing pure audio quality, or do they want a usable setup? And I think with our speakers, they are more usable. Crossover speaker versus DSP biamp. I don't fully understand the question, but I mean,
he asked it earlier. Why did you choose here internal crossover for
with
the
Tuck instead of
non-amp?
doing the non-amp speaker versus biamping uses digital signal shaping. I think for us it was really just like it was a design choice for I think it was really just for like the price of components. When you're making a speaker, there's so many things you have to balance out. And despite the fact that I've been flossing about DSPs, solving every issue, the fact is that if you have a DSP that does biamping, it costs more. You need 2 amps now. Getting them to work well together. Sometimes if you're more familiar with the passive setup, and you've done it and it sounds good, then you just kind of roll with it. So it wasn't a design goal of Tuck to go biamp. It was, making a speaker that sounded good, and we developed a prototype using stuff that we had done before, and we really liked it. So we didn't see the need to go that route. All right. I think I'm going to continue my seminar.
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So we talked about the tech. Let's talk about customers. So I'm not going to get into like the full-blown socioeconomic reasons here, but people have less space, they got less time, and they got less money. So let's talk about it. Powered speakers, they take up less room, plain and simple. Your power supply, your DAC, your preamp, all the wiring to connect everything together, it's in one box. Take even the most simple setup, a set of passive speakers and a home theater receiver. Powered speakers are even more compact than that setup. If you live in a studio apartment or a 1-bedroom where space is at a premium, just having an AV receiver, the act of having an AV receiver is sometimes not even manageable, let alone having, multiple pieces of equipment. The days of having a dedicated home theater or listening room are becoming a little bit more rare. So, an equipment rack in your condo or a piece of furniture in order to hold a piece of AV gear, that's a sacrifice to additional seating, a pantry, a wardrobe. And, for some, it is a realistic trade-off that they don't want to make. So people have less time. Power speakers take less time to set up, to troubleshoot, and to research. If a person's ultimate goal is to listen to music or get better sound from their TV, powered speakers are a relatively easy way to achieve that goal. For some people, achieving that goal, it's not a very fun endeavor. For people that are listening on the, chat right now, and me, it is a fun endeavor. It's really fun comparing reviews, getting advice on forums. But for, other people, if you have other commitments and you're not an audio enthusiast, a power speaker is just one thing to research. It's one thing to set up, and, not much can go wrong in that scenario. Like if you hear a ground loop in your multi-component hi-fi system, that can take a long time to chase down the problem. If you hear a ground loop in your set of powered speakers, you can probably figure it out right away, like really quickly. And if you can't figure it out, you got one point of contact, the manufacturer, to figure out what's going on, rather than like 3. And then less money. So this is a bit nuanced, but generally, if a customer's budget is limited, powered speakers are going to cost less than the equivalent passive setup, plus the components required to get the equivalent feature set. So I'm fully aware you can buy passive speakers and an amplifier for the same price or lower sometimes than a set of powered speakers. But you may not get a sub out, a phono preamp, tone controls, an EQ, a remote, etc. So just to get that equivalent feature set, usually powered speakers are the best way in terms of price to go. And some of the reduction in price kind of goes back to the tech I talked about. A speaker designer can choose the exact amount of wattage needed for the goals of the project. A customer is never overbuying or over designing their system with a set of powered speakers. When you're buying components to set up a system, it's always safe to choose an amp that has more power than you actually need, just so you can avoid clipping, or if in the future you end up buying some speakers that are less efficient. So the real benefit of going with different separates, with going with a setup with multiple components, is that you can upgrade your system incrementally, but you're not usually saving money. You're definitely not saving space, and you can never match those components perfectly because the speakers have not been designed alongside the amplifier. So those are the three reasons. Those are the biggest factors, I think, in terms of customer habits that have shaped why powered speakers are so popular. But there's other factors like aesthetics. And I'm not talking about matching the color of your house or, making your speakers match your cottage industrial chic look in your place. I'm more talking about like reducing clutter, reducing cabling, and making sure that everyone in the household is happy with how it looks. So I already touched on this, but you got less space to work with nowadays in apartments. You can't have a dedicated sound room to hide your audio equipment. And if you're not an audio enthusiast, chances are you don't like the look of audio components either. And if you are an audio enthusiast, you don't like cabling. You don't like the look of cabling. You want to hide it. That's everyone that's probably in the same boat for that one. But with a powered speaker, there's no interconnects. Like there's very few things you need to hide. So this is also a little detail, but it's worth mentioning. Fully wireless powered speakers, Kanto doesn't make any, but fully wireless powered speakers, you plug each speaker into an outlet and they talk to each other wirelessly. Those are very flexible. Some audio enthusiasts are like, why do you want to plug two things into the wall when you could just have one thing, the amplifier plugged in? Well, the electronics, the electrical grid in your house, it's already in your wall. You don't have to make cable runs. You don't have to string any wire and hide it. It's already in your wall. It's already such a clean setup if you go with like a fully wireless setup. And on that note too, let's talk about multi-room. Powered speakers are pretty much the only way to pull off multi-room audio, unless you've built a home that actually has wired up speaker components. You can have like a Wi-Fi connected amp and passive speakers in your home in a few different areas, but who's really doing that, right? Powered speakers for multi-room, just they make sense, right? Another factor, we're in the midst of a shift in how we work. We're post-industrial revolution. Physical labors, getting replaced with automation and robots. The human brain, information, and creativity, they are the resource of the future. So there's this, a growing trend of creative jobs. And how many jobs nowadays exist without a computer? And people are working from home, hyper relevant right now. More people are working at a desktop. And those people, not only do they want to hear music, but some of those jobs, they require accurate audio to do their job. A bit of a tangent here before I get to my point about creative jobs and why they've kind of made powered speakers so common. When I was growing up, if you needed computer speakers, you bought computer speakers from a manufacturer that makes computer speakers, right? Like Creative, Cambridge Soundworks, Logitech. The Dell, the speakers that come with your Dell. And those speakers, for the most part, they were not accurate enough to do video or audio editing work. If you got, any sort of creative job where you need to listen to audio or mess with video, those were not good enough for that sort of thing.
They were almost like a pair of headphones you would plug into a computer that were just big and loud and, well, somewhat loud and just sat on your desk,
Except for the Eltec Lensing 621s or 641s. I don't know if you guys remember those, but those were beauties.
That was
speakers.
the Altec Lansing had quite a few products that were great. So
yeah, they really did. I definitely drooled over that. I had some really kick-ass Monsoon speakers, the Planar Media 14s when I grew up. I fabricated speaker stands in high school with them. Like I was in a shop class and I like made little speaker stands for them to get them to the right height. And their one flaw is that their connector that connected the whole system together was so junky and crappy that it broke one day. And it was like an S-Video style connector with all these little tiny pins.
Oh, man.
Toast, man. I couldn't repair them. I busted out the soldering iron multimeter and I just could not get that thing to work again. I was so disappointed. Man, sorry for that huge tangent. I'm going to go back to this. Okay.
Okay. You're fine. You're fine.
All right. So we're now at the point where you're seeing multimedia speakers that they can do it all. They're good for casual listening. You can do monitoring on them, audio monitoring, and they're from brands that aren't just making computer speakers. So the growth in the creative digital sector has really allowed this full gamut of audio products to grow. And what better place for a powered speaker than a desktop where your real estate is, at such a premium. And then I'm going to go into like the biggest factor for me, aside from the three main points I was talking about. Audio architects. You guys are going to see a Kanto review very soon. Thank you. We love reviews. Appreciate it. Here's the biggest factor: the accessibility of music. Everyone is a music listener. You can access the music you love anywhere you want. You don't need to invest in a physical collection. You don't need physical media. The barrier has come down. Typically if you had the ability to buy, a new record once a week, you had some money set aside for a nice hi-fi system. If you don't have the ability to buy new vinyl every week, well, you probably have the ability to put $10 down a month for Spotify. And if you don't even have that, there's free music on YouTube. Those same people that are listening to music for free on YouTube, they want speakers. They appreciate good music. They're music lovers. They know what music, how it makes them feel. They want good quality audio. And powered speakers are just such a easy starting point for those people. They get what they want with very simple components and a very low cost of entry. So yeah, that was kind of just the changes in customer habits. I'm going to eventually shift here to talking about Tuck and talking about some of the features in that. Is the AMT tweeter similar to, say, a ARRL ribbon? No. AMT tweeters are like accordions, and they're pushing sound out. A ribbon is literally like a thin piece of sheet plastic going. It's moving back and forth like that. They look the same, but they're very different. So I'm, I think when we were developing Tuck, and I kept on using the word ribbon because I wasn't educated, and like my engineer was like, AMT.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
It's very different. Jason, you're so good at this. Thank you. Should I start streaming? Should I go on Twitch? Should I play video games? Should I do what do you want me to do with this talent?
Don't start doing audio reviews. It's gonna put me out.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right,
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I just want to point out that the lava lamp's really actually chooching now. I wanted it to be like that for the whole session, but it took like 20 minutes in to get to that point. But it's looking real nice now.
Yeah, it is.
It looks good. I'm going to talk about Tuck now, because I would be a horrible product manager at Kanto if I didn't talk about our products.
Let's do it. Let's get a close up of that thing too. That's a handsome speaker.
Don't even need a close up, bro. I got it. I got
Oh,
one.
a black
Oh,
one.
snap.
Oh,
Bam.
snap. I never seen
Right
this
from the
one.
back. Oh, check that out.
Look
That's
out.
the G. That's a G6 prototype. I don't know if that's backwards, but it's from
Like a
2018.
G6. Doom,
Like,
doom, doom, doom,
what
doom.
happened?
Like a
What
G6.
happened to those homies, man? What happened to Dev? No, is it Dev? I forgot the singer on that. The woman singer. Where's she at?
Wow,
right now?
I don't even know.
I listen to a lot of pop music, and I haven't seen her pop up in a long time. Okay, Tuck. Okay, so if you have all this great technology at your disposal, Class D and DSPing, if you understand the needs of the customers, and you got a history of already making some really great powered speakers, what do? We, Kanto, we made Tuck. We designed it for 4 main use types: turntable, desktop, living room, and smart home. So I'm going to talk about the features and the programming and other things we've included to make these speakers excel at those four main things. Oh, there's the sexy Tucks blasting their bass. Oh, I love it. Chana was DJing at the show, I believe, with this video here. Very cool. All right, cool. Talking about Tuck. Turntables. Yeah. So Tuck has a dedicated phono preamp built into the speaker. It is literally dedicated. You don't have to share the phono preamp input with any other devices. You don't have to switch between it. Tuck also has a headphone out right there. So just those 2 things, we've eliminated 2 pieces of gear needed in your system. You don't need an external phono preamp. You don't need a headphone amp or a headphone output. It's already built into here. So that's how we kind of designed it, to make sense in a situation where you have a turntable. For desktop, Tuck has a USB. You know what? I'm not going to keep turning this thing around. I'm just going to talk about it. Tuck has
I'll
USB.
put a picture up if I can find one online.
Sure, sounds good. My arms are just, it's just like, got to turn it. It's hurting my arms. That's a lie. I'm fine.
I got you.
Anyways, for desktop use, Tuck has a USB input to bypass the usually pretty not good sound quality from onboard PCs. When you plug Tuck into a computer, it's got a really slick trick. It's a tethered volume. So if you adjust the volume on the Tuck, the volume control on Tuck, it's going to adjust your operating system's volume. When you adjust the operating system volume, it adjusts Tuck. It's tethered. There's not 2 different volume inputs. It's just one volume across everything. It's really slick. For desktop use, you can defeat the automatic standby on this speaker. So usually after 15 minutes, the speakers go to sleep. You can disable that so that they more emulate a traditional computer speaker that's on all the time, so you don't miss notifications or have to wait for them to boot up. You have a sub mute on the remote. So if you got a sub connected, if you're using your speaker at night, you can mute your subwoofer so you don't wake anyone up. It's got that headphone output that I was talking about previously, and you got a LED brightness control. So if you don't want a blue LED staring at your face at night, you can control the brightness or turn it off completely. So those are a few of the things that we've included with Tuck to make it work on desktop. And it also has a really low noise floor. That was one of the goals right from the outset, is that you needs to be really quiet, no white noise or hissing when you're a meter away from it. Living room use. So Tuck has a defeatable or a selectable crossover network at 80 hertz. So if you got a subwoofer connected to it and you hold down a button on the remote, the sub mute button, hold it down for 5 seconds, it'll enable the active crossover. Anything over 80 hertz goes to the speakers. Anything below 80 hertz goes to the sub. So that's usually found in home theater receivers or external gear. You don't usually see it baked into a product, but we have it in here. It also has Bluetooth, it has an optical input, so you can connect a TV to it. Doesn't have HDMI like the 5s. Very cool feature.
No HDMI ARC.
But
now I got to take a shot.
It still has a really good optical. It's not really a DAC since it's a full digital setup, but it has an optical receiver, so you can connect it to your TV. and then you still got RCA, phono, Bluetooth, USB for anything that's not connected to your TV. For smart home, we made it really easy for Tuck to be like the center of your smart home. It has a USB charging port, so you can charge or power a Google Home Mini, or you can charge your Echo input. Anything that's a smart home device, you can plug it into the speakers, and then that way you just eliminate some cabling right there. And then it has a really trick feature with Bluetooth. Usually when powered speakers go to sleep, it completely deactivates, or it severs the Bluetooth connection. With Tuck, we made sure that the Bluetooth connection stays active even if the speakers go to sleep. And that way you can just stream music to it and it'll wake up automatically, just like if it was wired up. And you can also disable the automatic power down if you want them to be on all the time and ready to play music without any delay whatsoever. So with Tuck, we really thought out the product and how people are going to use it. And here's really the point. I'm very confident that you could not duplicate the same kind of user experience that you get with Tuck if you piece together a system yourself. Tuck is a very cohesive product, and it couldn't really have existed even like 5 years ago. There's a lot of technology, market research, and customer feedback that went into it, and it's really culminated into something that's greater than the sum of its parts. And we're, obviously really proud of it. And I know I'm kind of over time, but one more thing, I'm gonna plug our latest speaker, U, because like I said, I'd be a horrible product manager if I didn't mention our product. U is a stripped down U4. So everyone knows and loves our U4. It's a really small, well, I guess not super small. It's a mid-sized bookshelf speaker, nice neutral frequency response, has a lot of cool features. U is a stripped down version of U4. U has a RCA and Bluetooth input, and it comes in black. That's it. It's really stripped down. U4 has a phono preamp. It has optical inputs, and it comes in a bunch of finishes and colors. But if you don't need all that, if you just need a really stripped down basic speaker that sounds great, U is available, and it's $249 versus $329 for U4. So $80 price difference between them. It really puts you in a sweet spot in terms of pricing. So my summary, I'm going to just summarize it all. By utilizing the latest technology, understanding the needs of the customers, Kanto and other manufacturers, obviously, we've been able to create really great sounding powered speakers that the market really likes. They're responding to it. And as the tech in digital signal processing and Class D amplification get even better, and consumers demand, better sounding, more streamlined audio for their dollar, the segment's just going to grow. And I hope my seminars made it a little bit more clear about why you're seeing more powered speakers. And I'm really excited to see the future. When more manufacturers take that holistic approach of designing a powered speaker, like Tuck, where it becomes a bit more common, and you get to see more companies doing cool stuff like that. And that's done. I'm finished with my seminar. Thank you.
Wow,
that was great, man.
Getting a lot of love over here.
Yeah, people are saying
Jason,
don't let Jason go.
Yo, you're a rock star.
I've been with Kanto for 6 years now. So I started out as a customer service representative.
Wow.
And moved up to product manager.
Wow.
So I have not been let go. They like me here. I'm very happy and fortunate.
Bravo, Jason. Awesome presentation, Jason. Yeah, I think
man. That's a great way to end our presentations, our seminars for today.
Yeah.
Happy to cap off day one. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, thanks for being part of it. Yeah. Mic drop.
These comments, though.
The mic isn't dropping. The mics
don't
are
inflate
stationary.
My ego. I don't need it.
Oh man. Don't worry, guys. We're keeping them around.
That's sweet. That's good to
hear. We want to hear something I would like to say that actually, do those integrate with your stands?
Yeah.
Tucks?
So something that I didn't mention. I don't know if this older design has it. It does. I don't know if you can see, but our speakers, all of our current speakers have a small 1/4 inch threaded hole in the bottom. So you can connect it to our to all of our speaker stands. So not just the floor standing stands, but even the desktop stands that we have. They all have a little 1/4 inch hole and screw, so you can secure it, and it's a really nice tight unit once it's all put together. It's really sweet.
Yeah, I think that's a sleeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when you guys sent me those and the stands connected to the speaker and it all moves as like one unit, that really like makes you feel good about this setup. It doesn't feel like, oh, it's gonna get knocked over. You know what I mean?
If you got pets or kids in your house, like having a speaker connected to a speaker stand is it's less worrisome for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I really like the fact that those speakers have a ton of I/O. Like even
Crazy,
people at the
amount.
show were like looking at the back of it and they're like, wow, this thing's got a ton. I can plug in multiple things at once. You won't have to switch anything around. You can do TV, turntable, some sort of, whatever analog or CD player you want to plug into that. It's great. I think you guys did a great job with that.
It's got pretty much everything that you should need. There's very few situations that it can't handle. Like I said, we've kind of made it so that it works with most scenarios. It's got all the connectivity you need. It's got really cool features that you can only get those kind of features if you actually are an audio enthusiast. If you love audio and you've been doing it for long enough and know what customers want. So it's a great speaker. We were all so happy when it launched. It took so long to develop it and took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. If we're being
I bet. Now you said they were an all digital system. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Does the analog get changed into digital?
Correct. Yeah.
So you have an analog to digital converter, not the other way around.
Correct. Yeah. So if you're using a digital input, if you're using optical or USB, you're getting that full bit stream right into the amp.
Wow.
If you're using any analog, you are getting it switched over. It's a little bit of a different design. Vanatu actually has such a good explanation on their website about their Class D amps. I remember reading about the Vanatu one on their website and reading about their system and not really fully understanding it until we started developing Tuck. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool feature. You have pretty much full digital right before the amp. So there's very few places where it can get distorted or pick up interference. So it's a really slick setup. And if you are using an analog source like a turntable, or a DAC, I think we got the chip in there. I think it's decoding at 2496, so you shouldn't be losing really any quality through the ADC conversion.
Oh, it's good to know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
And now you know. I'm glad that I did the seminar just for you to learn that one.
Oh, whoa! Not just for me; it's for everybody out there.
It's for everyone. Yeah, cool.
Lots of engineering.
Not to be rude, but how good are you pre-built preamps? They're not like if you're spending $200 on a preamp, it's not going to be as good as that. They are sufficient for what they need to be. They have really low noise, especially in Tuck. We spend more money on Tuck's preamp than other speakers, so less noisy at high volumes for that one. So there's obviously if you're building out a separate system, you're probably going to be able to get a better phono preamp than what's in Tuck if you're spending a good amount of money. But if you're only spending like $50 on a phono preamp, then I'm pretty sure you're probably going to get a better preamp actually in our product.
Wow.
Cool. Wow. One thing that somebody asked, I saw way up there, was frequency response. Mm-hmm. They couldn't find that listed anywhere. Do you know off the top of your head? Or
so Tuck, it's super weird listing frequency specs for a speaker that has tone control. Because you can be like, it's anything you want. So I think officially, like
that's what you should put: frequency response.
You guys were very kind.
We put 50 hertz to 20,000 hertz, so 20K on our speakers. And we didn't put like a negative or plus dB on there because you can use an equalizer to change it. But if you look at Joe's in-room response, you're usually hitting about 51, 52 hertz.
No, you guys were very, very conservative with the bass response because in my room I was getting way lower than that. In room, You know, so
Yeah, usable
very
frequency
usable.
response.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna hear 40 hertz with tuck. It
Oh,
might
yeah.
not be as present as the 60 hertz, but you know it's gonna be there. You're gonna hear it.
Very good.
Awesome, man.
Sean,
Yo,
we good?
we are good. We are definitely good. Big shout out to Kanto Audio, Jason, and of course we got Brett hiding out in the back. Thank you guys so much. And for all the attendees, we've got a 1 hour break, and I will be back with the HiFi night, part of the after party, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I gotta set up a few things, a few more cameras need to be turned on and all that good stuff. But thank you, Jason, for being here.
Yeah.
We mentioned the giveaway too. They do have a giveaway of the tux.
Oh yeah.
Make sure to it's on the giveaway page.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because
Yeah,
I
so
wasn't aware of it. So
yeah,
thank you,
yeah.
Joe.
We actually have a giveaway. Brett told me, so I'm not making that
Sick.
up.
All right.
All right.
Get
So
yourself,
yeah,
get yourself entered and get yourself a pair of tucks.
and you know what
love them.
you know what I like about this whole thing? So to plug the HiFi Summit, I like the fact that we're talking about some speakers that are less than $1,000, and a lot of people are interested in it. You know what I mean? If we were at a show, a lot of times you kind of feel like, I don't know if I belong here. You know what I mean? I don't know if you kind of get that feeling, but I've been to
you
certain
can
shows. You
definitely
feel
get
like,
that feeling.
you know, I'm showing you some awesome speakers that I think a lot of people will like, but at the same time, they're like, why don't I belong here?
Right.
I don't get it, but I think this is the perfect platform for that. And so you can tell from the response here in the comments, like everybody's about it. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
It's been fun, man. I really
look at that.
appreciate you guys having us.
549 entries already. This is only day one. Get your entries in there, everyone.
Smash that entry button. Smash it.
Smash that subscribe. I mean that entry button.
Click the bell.
See you guys in an hour.
Yeah, see you guys in an hour. And
Take a
again,
nappy
thank
nap.
you so much, Jason.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was really great. I really appreciated it.
Awesome. We appreciate it too. All right, we'll see you guys soon.
Later.